doesn't hurt them at all. But it destroys your possibilities. And as you know, in society, it becomes very common that people who are successful are pulled down and attacked and so on. Stay away from that, because that's how losers think. And so the emotion is the critical thing. Well, they interviewed 350,000 salespeople, and they tracked them over a series of years. What is your name, sir? Walton? Okay. So they say, let's say, Walton, would you join this experiment with us? What we're going to do is we're going to phone you on an irregular basis. Every few days, somebody will phone you, and they'll just ask you, what are you thinking about right now? And whatever it is, just tell them what you're thinking about at that moment, okay? So they would do this experiment with all of us. They hire university students to do this. They give them free beer and pizza, for which university students will do anything, okay? And then what they would do is they would just phone Walton, and every so often someone would say, Walton, that fellow's on the phone for you. Okay, tell him I'm thinking about this proposal for a customer, or I'm thinking about getting this sale closed by the end of the week, or I'm thinking about this course that I'm going to. So Walton would just tell what he's thinking about, and then they tracked that over a period of months and years, and then compared income. And they found an interesting thing. A pattern began to emerge. Is the highest paid salespeople had a particular thinking pattern that was different from the lowest paid salespeople. And they found that it was consistent. Now, they found there was one quality that top salespeople have more than any other single quality. It's the highest quality of all, and it was kind of predictive of success. It actually predicts success in life more than any other single thinking quality. Can you guess what it is? Go ahead. Can't be wrong. Don't worry. Don't be shy. Can you guess what's the most important quality to predict success and happiness in life? Belief is good. That's part of it. There's no wrong answers. I'll tell you what the answer is, okay? It's optimism. What they found was that successful people had really high levels of optimism. They were really optimistic. They were positive most of the time. Does that mean they didn't have problems? Oh, they had far more problems than the average person because they tried more things. They found that optimists had two great qualities that made them great in selling, which led to their success. Number one was they tried more things, they made more calls, because they had an unrealistic expectation that they would be successful. They just kind of believed they would be successful. You said believe? Yeah, they believed if they just kept on, they would be successful. So they just tried more things. Now the second quality they had is they persisted more, because they have an unrealistic expectation that if they just persist more, they'll succeed. Do you know that the average sale today is closed after 6 visits with the customer? 5.8 to 6 visits. That's how long it takes to make a sale today. But once you've made the sale, sometimes you can keep that customer for years. And every subsequent sale takes you 1/10 of the time of the first sale. Is that all highly paid salespeople have persisted until they got the sale, and then they keep that customer year after year after year, and they make more and more sales, and they get referrals from that customer? Are you with me so far? So therefore, optimists try more things, they make more calls, and they persist longer, and gradually they begin to build up their sales, they begin to build up their customer base, and years go by, and they're 5 and 10 times as successful as people who make fewer calls and quit earlier. Are you with me so far? So this is pretty logical stuff. You think, well, obviously, if a person is positive and they make lots of calls and they call back, they're probably going to make more sales than a person who doesn't, right? In other words, they're creating their own luck. They're putting the law of probabilities on their side. So optimists make more calls and try more often, or call back more often. But we also find that optimists have a particular way of thinking in several different areas, and that's what I want to talk about between now and the break. I can spend a whole day on this, but I know that you guys are really smart, so you could take a lot of good ideas in a short period of time. Is that right? Say yes. Okay. So what optimists do... Oh, damn, I love this stuff. Okay. What optimists do... What time do we start? We start at 7, 8, 9, 10, 10. Okay. What optimists have is what I call orientations. Now, an orientation is a particular way of thinking about life and the world. And the first orientation that optimists have is future orientation. Now, future orientation is what made Singapore a great nation state. Future orientation means that optimists idealize. Optimists think about the future most of the time. They think about where they're going most of the time. They think about the possibilities of the future, and they idealize. They kind of imagine, what would my future look like if it was fantastic? What would the world look like? What would my world look like? And there's 4 areas where optimists idealize. These are the 4 things that we all want in common. all over the world, all human beings want these four things. Number one is great health. We want to have great health. We want to feel good about ourselves. We want to have high levels of energy. We want to live forever, right? And it's never been possible to live longer and live better than it is today, right here. Number two is that optimists want to have loving relationships. They want to have happy relationships. They want to have happy families. They want to have happy friends. They want to work with people they like, work for bosses they like. They want to sell to customers they like, and so on. One of the great rules for success in selling is only get into a business where you really like the people you're working with and you really like the people you sell to. I had a woman come up to me recently. She said, you know, I really like my product and I really like my company, but I really hate the people I sell it to. I mean, they're real jerks. She just didn't like the people. I said, you know, you'll never be successful unless you really care about the people you're selling to. Well, the third thing that we all want is we all want to do meaningful work, and we all want to do it well. It's so important for us to do our work well, because this is what we found, is how much you like yourself, your level of self-esteem, determines your level of optimism. If you really like yourself, if you really feel happy about yourself, you'll do your work better. But the flip side is also true. It's like a coin. If you do your work well, you like yourself more. And if you like yourself more, you do your work better. And each time you learn something new that enables you to do your work better, you like yourself more. And then when you do your work better, you get better rewards and better feedback, and you like yourself more. And the more you like yourself, the better you do. And the better you do, the more you like yourself. Say, I like myself. Now say it like you mean it. Say, I like myself. I like myself. Wonderful. You know, all top people can say that quite happily. They did a study of 1,500 men and women who were at the tops of every one of their fields. It was a 9-year study. And they asked them, what is the greatest of all benefits of success? And you know what they said? It was wonderful feelings of self-esteem. They liked themselves. They liked themselves. They genuinely liked themselves and felt that they had done something important with their lives. Felt they had done something worthwhile with their lives. So therefore, a high level of self-esteem leads to self-confidence. It leads to optimism. It leads to a positive mental attitude. And the more you like yourself, the more you like other people. And the more you like other people, the more they like you and they want to buy from you and recommend you to their friends. So everything you do to build yourself up psychologically improves every part of your life. The more you like yourself, the better a parent you are, the better a spouse you are, the better a friend you are, the better a boss you are. The more you like yourself, the better is every part of your life. The more you like yourself, the lower your stress levels. The more you like yourself, the stronger is your immune system. The more you like yourself, the healthier you are. People with high self-esteem are very seldom sick. People with high self-esteem do their work well. They have lots of energy. People with high self-esteem set big goals for themselves. It's an interesting thing. If you really like yourself, you set big goals for yourself. And if you set big goals for yourself, and you also persist. So the more you like yourself, the better you do. And the wonderful thing is every single time that you do something positive for yourself or for anyone else, your self-esteem goes up. Now, this brings us back to future orientation. People who really like themselves think about the future, and they have great ideas for the future. You know that we have found that just the very idea... I'm sorry, let me not get ahead of myself. I said there's 4 things that we want. Number 1 is health and energy. Number 2 is loving relationships. Number 3 is meaningful work that we do well. Number 4 is financial independence. We all want to be financially independent. Now, we all judge ourselves in life by how well we're doing on each of these 4. And we could be doing well in 3, but if we're low in 4, that's what bothers us. That's the thing that worries us more than anything else. You know, you could have great health and good family and nice job and be broke. And you know what? You won't think about the other 3 things. You think about being broke all the time. Isn't that true? It's called a deficiency need in psychology. We always tend to think about where our deficiencies are and not pay enough attention to the other. Well, the more you like yourself, the more you idealize your future. The more you create great dreams of what is possible for you. And the starting point of dreaming great dreams is to have a fantasy or an imaginary idea of your life as if it were perfect sometime in the future. So when I do personal strategic planning, when I do strategic planning actually with corporations, the first thing I say is, let us imagine that this company, 5 years in the future, is perfect in every way. Okay? If this company was perfect, if it was a great company, if it was the most respected company in the business, if it was the best company of all in this industry, what would it look like? And then I go around and I have the executives give me an idea. What would it look like? Best products, best service, great customers, tremendous management, wonderful people, great systems internally, wonderful reputation, high profitability, rapid growth rates, high price on the stock exchange. We write them all down. And the most amazing thing is, I say, okay, now, is this what the company would look like if it was perfect? And everybody says, yeah, if this company was perfect, that's what it would look like. I would say, okay, is this possible? Are these possible? And you know, everybody stops. I do this with the senior executives of multi-billion-dollar corporations. And they say, yeah, 5 years? Not in 1 year, but we could do that in 5 years. And so the only question then becomes what? How? How will we do it? I say, good. Now let's start talking about how. Let's first of all organize these in priority. If we could only accomplish one, which would be the first one, and then which would be the second. And so the first one, you know what the first one is usually? Superb products and services. Because if you have that, you'll have the sales, you'll have the profits, you'll have the market, you'll attract the people, and so on. So, okay, now, how do we develop a reputation as being the best in the business? There's a reason that I talked about this, because you need to say the same thing. If your life was perfect in 5 years, if your health was perfect, and your family was perfect, and your work was perfect, and your financial situation was perfect in 5 years, what would it look like? What would it look like? And then you begin to think, hey, in 1 year maybe, but in 5 years, I could be fit, I could have a great family, I could be the top of my field in my work, I could be financially independent or on my way to financial independence. All that's possible within 5 years. Isn't that true? Now, here's an interesting point. Are you ready? The time is going to pass anyway. The 5 years is going to go past anyway. You know, 5 years from now, 5 years will have gone by. You'll be 5 years older. The only question is, what are you going to do in the meantime? Well, here's my favorite word in success. My favorite word in success is the word clarity. I am a fanatic on the word clarity. And basically, what I say is you can't hit a target that you can't see. So your job is to be absolutely clear if your life was perfect. If you're married, sit down with your spouse and create what is called a dream list. And just say, these are our dreams for the future. And just write down everything you'd like to have in your life if you had no limits. If you had the power to achieve anything. If you could wave a magic wand over your life and have 3 wishes, what 3 wishes would you want? Health, happiness, money, financial independence. Here's the point. If you can dream it, you can do it. If you can write it down, if you can imagine it and write it down, then the only question you ask is, how? You say, how do we do it? And then what you do is you say, now who else has got what I want? And who else at one time didn't have it, and now they have it? And what you do is you go and find out how they got there. You read their books, you ask them questions, you listen to their programs, and then you discipline yourself to do the same things they did until you get the same result. It's not a miracle. Success is not, there's just far too many successful people in Singapore who started with nothing for it to be luck or an accident or a miracle. There's a system going on here. Like somebody's got the phone number and they're getting through on a regular basis. Your job is to find out the phone number. My daughter is going out with a young man, and his father is a lawyer. The lawyer is a corporate lawyer, and they set up they did all the papers for a restaurant. And the founder of this restaurant was very arrogant. He said, this is going to be the best restaurant in Los Angeles. This restaurant is going to be so good, we're not going to advertise this restaurant, and we're not even going to have the phone number in the book. In fact, this restaurant is going to be so good that people are going to keep the phone number. And the only way that you can get a reservation is if you know the phone number. And so you'll have to know somebody who knows the phone number. And you know something? Within 1 year, that restaurant was packed. And you could only get a reservation if you had the phone number. And so you'd be saying, do you know the phone number to that restaurant? Well, yes, I do. Could I have it? Well, I'm not sure. And so people who had the phone number were very jealous about this phone number, and they were very careful giving out the phone number, and they went there on a regular basis. I mean, he made it one of the most successful restaurants in Los Angeles. To this day, you can't get in unless you know the phone number. Now, when we talk about being financially successful, scoring a 10 in all 4 of those areas, you've got to figure out the phone number. You've got to get the phone number. Now, fortunately enough, the phone number is not a secret. as like this one was, the phone number's all around you. The phone number is here tonight, but the phone number is all around you. Your job is to get the phone number. So clarity is the critical thing. Decide what you want. Decide clearly what you want. Talk about it. Think about it. Imagine it. Play with it. Like a child at Christmas time. Fantasize about a beautiful home, a beautiful car, travel, health, so on. All of these things are possible for you, but you have to have them in your mind first. Remember, it always begins within your mind and then it goes into your reality. Now, the second part is, I love this stuff. Okay. The second orientation that successful people have is goal orientation. Now, goal orientation means that they have very clear written goals that they work on every single day. So I'm going to give you a homework exercise. If we had more time, I would take you through the exercise here. We may do this at a later seminar, but what I want you to do is I want you to take a piece of paper like this when you get home tonight. I want you to promise me you'll do this. If you'll do this, I promise you it will have a major impact on your life. No exceptions. Take a piece of paper like this, write the word goals at the top, and write down at least 10 goals you want to accomplish in the next 12 months. Before you go to bed tonight, this is your homework assignment. Go home, sit down, write down the 10 goals. You promise me you'll do that? Say yes. Yes. Even if you're lying, some of you would say like this. I'm not saying anything. I ain't writing no goals. Might work. You know, might get me out of my rotten old broken down car, my crummy job. I ain't writing down no goals. It might take 3 minutes of my life. I'm not doing it. Now here's the important point. Writing down these goals takes 2 to 3 minutes. Actually about 3. If you write down 10 things that you want to accomplish in the next 12 months. Now all you have to do then is take this piece of paper, fold it up, put it away somewhere where you won't see it for a whole year. You know, like in your Bible or something like that. Take it, put it away for a whole year, and at the end of the year you take out this list and open it up, and you'll be both happy and sad. You'll be happy because 8 of your 10 goals will have been accomplished in the most amazing ways. And you'll be sad because you wish you had written more goals and bigger goals. Now, does this work? Yes, it works everywhere. Has anybody ever done this, by the way, written down 10 goals? Anybody ever done it? Does it work? Everybody will tell you it works. People go home, and managers go home and they have all the staff sit down and write down 10 goals. Parents go home and have their kids write down 10 goals, or have their spouse write down 10 goals, and their whole lives change. Now, it's not that it takes at the end of 12 months, suddenly, bing, you achieve the goals. The goals start to come true at a rate that is absolutely amazing. People come to me and they say, my whole life has changed in the last 30 days. All kinds of things have happened. They've changed jobs. They've changed relationships. They've gotten a new house. They bought a car. They've taken a trip. And they're all things they wrote down. So your homework assignment is to write down 10 goals. And you can write down more if you like. Before I came over here, I'm staying at the hotel across, I wrote down my 10 goals. I do it every single day. I just write them and rewrite them. I carry a school notebook, a spiral notebook with me, and I just write down my goals every day. Because that just burns them deeper and deeper and deeper into my subconscious mind. And it's the most amazing thing. It costs you 3 to 5 minutes a day, but the power on your life is phenomenal. If all you'll do from this day is you write down 10 goals, and then instead of putting them away for a year, just review them on a regular basis, and the only question you ask is what? How? How can I achieve the goals? How? The question how makes you an optimist. The question how raises your self-esteem. The question how unlocks your creativity. The question how makes you powerful. When you look at your goals, say, okay, I can have these. I can have more money, better health, greater travel. I can do all these things. Good. The only question is how. But here's the interesting thing, is that even if you didn't do these things, I had a man come up to me at a seminar recently, and he said, Brian, I was at your seminar 6 months ago. He said, you gave that exercise about writing the 10 goals, and while you were talking, I was so excited, I wrote down 18 goals. And then I took the list home, I did what you told me, and I hid it. He said, I hid it so well, I couldn't find it again. Now, he said, the interesting thing was, I took the list from the seminar, I folded it up, took it home, and hid it. I didn't even look at it again. 2 weeks later, I moved to a new house. And when I was unpacking, I found the list. And I opened the list, and he said, I had to sit down to read it. He said, 11 of the 18 goals had been achieved in 5.5 months. One was to get a better job, which I had. One was to earn more money. I'm making more than I ever made. One was to get a new car. The new car came with the job. One was to get a new house. I just moved into the house because I could afford it. One was to lose weight. One was to take a trip. One was to learn a subject. One was to fix a relationship. But he said these were life goals, and I'd accomplished 11, and I'd almost accomplished 4 more. He said, in less than 6 months. And I lost the list. See, the interesting thing is when you write down the goals, writing a goal down actually programs it into your subconscious mind. So even if your conscious mind doesn't even remember the list, your subconscious mind's got it now, and it works 24 hours a day to bring it into your life. Please trust me on this. It's life transforming. And I've spoken all over the world and given this exercise. I've never had anybody say it didn't work. The only things they say are, it was incredible. The results on their lives were explosive. They could not believe it. So, will you give it a try? Say yes. Yes. Okay, I'm trusting you. I'm coming over to your house tonight. You know, I'm going to wake up. You're going to hear that banging on the door. Bang, bang, bang. Show me the list. No list? We'll have to have a talk. Okay, so goal orientation. Now, the third orientation is excellence orientation. In order to achieve something you have never achieved before, you have to be good at something you've never been good at before. You have to develop skills you've never had before. So remember, your job, and I've got some good news and more good news. When you come into this room, you are automatically in the top 10% of people in our society. You're in the top 10% of adults, and I'll tell you why. Only 10% of people ever come to a seminar like this. Now, the 10% of people who come to a seminar like this are automatically optimists. Nobody came here hoping this would be a bad seminar. If you did, I'll talk to you later. You're future-oriented because you came here to learn something that will help you to be better in the future. Even if you didn't define it that way, nonetheless, in your own heart, you were future-oriented. And that's all that matters. You're goal-oriented because you came here. You had to pay for this seminar. You had to turn off the television. You had to make your way down here, find a parking space, get in here. You're goal-oriented. You're aiming for a target, which means that you're already not in just the top 10%, probably in the top 3% of our population in terms of the future. Now remember, here's one of the great rules for success. It doesn't matter where you're coming from. All that really matters is where you're going. It doesn't matter where you're coming from. All that matters is where you're going. Now your job is, now that you're in the top 10% mentally, and you've got to get there mentally before you get there financially, once you're there mentally, your job is to stay there. Now, this idea of being in the top 10% is a major idea, and let me explain it. When I was growing up, I never thought I could be in the top 10% of anything. I failed in school. I did poorly in school. I got fired from jobs. Try getting fired. I used to pump gas in a gas station. I got fired from that because I wasn't good enough. I got fired from washing dishes. Try getting fired from washing dishes. It doesn't do your self-esteem very much good. I've gotten fired from more jobs than you've had. I mean, it never dawned on me that I could be good at anything. And then I learned something that changed my life. I learned that everybody in the top 10% started where? In the bottom 10%. Everybody who's at the top and doing well was once at the bottom and doing poorly. Everybody who's at the front of the buffet line of life was once at the back of the line. Everybody who's at the top of your field was once not in your field at all. And anything that anyone else has done, you can do as well. It's almost like walking. If I said to you, I will pay you $1 million Singapore dollars if you will walk from here to KL. Physically walk. Now, it doesn't matter how long you take. You can run if you want. But if you will just walk, you cannot take a ride, you have to walk. Now, if I told you, and you believed me, and the $1 million was there, you double-checked, all right? And you get $1 million from walking from here to downtown KL. Is there anybody here who could not do that? Okay. Okay. So we can all do it. Is that correct? Now, is there anybody here who is a runner, a jogger, really fit? Okay? Nobody. Okay? Either that or your arm is too tired from jogging too much. All right. But the point is that with some people who are really fit will get there quickly. They'll do 25, 35 miles a day. Okay? Some people who are not very fit will do 5 or 10 miles a day. Doesn't really matter. Everybody who keeps walking will get there. Are you with me so far? This is an important metaphor. Everybody who keeps walking toward the top 10% gets there. If you keep learning and practicing and trying and reading and listening to audio programs and get associated with other people, if you just keep putting one foot in front of the other, you will get to KL. You will achieve that level of financial income. There's nothing that can stop you except who? Only you can stop you by stopping. And so therefore you find that people who have no advantages at all, but have one, is they just don't stop. They can be a complete idiot. They can have every disadvantage. They can have limited education. They could come from a terrible country with no opportunities. They could have no family and be survivors of a terrible experience, but they just put one foot in front of the other. They get to the front of the line. They get to KL. They get to the top 10%. You can be in the top 10%. So this is what I learned, which changed my life when I was 24 years old and living and passing through Singapore, is that if you make a decision to get into the top 10% and you don't take it back, you will get there. If you'll just do what others have done, you will get there. And it may take a week, it may take a month. Do you know how long it takes to achieve mastery in any profession, including selling? It takes 7 years. Now many people think, well, I'm going to start in selling, and if I'm not at the top of the field within a month, I'll quit. But it takes 7 years to reach the point where you're in the top 10%. Some people may do it faster, but very seldom. I used to think, hey, I'll do it faster. It took 7 years. It took year after year of working. Now, that doesn't mean that you're broke for 6 years and 11 months and suddenly you make a lot of money. It's a gradual uphill. But the fact is, to get to the point where you're making the kind of money that you're capable of, it will take 7 years. But the time is going to pass anyway. So you might as well be there at the end of the 7 years. Do you know how many people are still here at the end of 7 years? They haven't made any progress because they never put in the extra effort. They never made the decision. They never went for it. So to make a decision, I'm going to be in the top 10%. And I'm going to do whatever it takes to get there. I'm going to pay the price. I'm going to read the books. I'm going to leave the television off. I'm going to start a little earlier. I'm going to work a little harder. I'm going to stay a little later. I'm going to get better. I am going to get into the top 10%. And you know what? There's nothing to stop you from getting into the top 10%. The only reason people don't get into the top 10% is why? They don't decide to. And if they decide to, they don't get started. And if they get started, they quit. All right? So it's very important. But optimists say, hey, I can be in the top 10%. I can be. And they just never quit. They just keep on going. No matter how much criticism they get, no matter how many problems they have, get fired from their jobs, they have setbacks and difficulties, they just keep walking to KL. Just keep going. They just keep going. And they get there and people say, boy, you're sure lucky. No, you weren't. You make your own luck. You make your own luck by deciding where you're going and getting on the road. Now, I'm going to give you one of the key secrets to success for the rest of your life and share it with other people when they need it. It's one of the great secrets. In our world, in Singapore, we get paid for results. We get paid for getting the job done. Isn't that true? We don't get paid because we're handsome or pretty. Thank heavens. Thank heavens for all of us, right? We get paid because we get a result, because we perform, because we do the job. We do what is expected of us. We contribute value, okay? So, the only way we're going to get to the top 10% is by becoming very good at what we do. There's no shortcuts. We just have to get down and work at it. So, I'm going to ask you to do this. Ask yourself this question. What one skill in your field now, if you were excellent at it, would help you the most? You see, there's 5 to 7 core skills in every job. And it is our top skills that have got us to where we are, but it's our weakest skill that's holding us back. Your weakest skill sets the height of your income. Your weakest skill determines how much money you make. So if there's 7 key skills in selling, which there are, and you're brilliant at 6 of them, but weak at the 7th, that sets your income. So ask yourself, what one skill? It's really important. What one skill? And if you don't know the answer, you must find out. Ask your boss. Boss, what one skill, if I was really good at it, would increase my income the most? Ask your coworkers. Ask your customers. I did that once when I was living in Singapore. I asked one of my customers, what one skill would help me the most? And he told me, if you would stop talking so much and ask questions and listen more, you'd be far more effective. Well, salespeople talk too much because we're nervous. We're nervous, so we overcome our